Hey listeners, you're listening to the Midnight Readers podcast. Grab some tea, a midnight snack, and cuddle up in bed as we dive deep into today's most popular fantasies, sci-fi, and mysteries. We're your hosts. I'm Lily.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Christy.
This season we'll be discussing the heart-pounding military fantasy that's part Hunger Games and part How to Train Your Dragon. That's right, grab your flight jacket, we're headed to Beskayeth.
A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A reader without their book or this podcast is dead. Welcome to the revolution. My best advice, don't die. And don't worry, we most likely won't need our allies.
In this episode, we'll be discussing Book 1 of the Empyrean series, Fourth Wing, chapters 31 through 39, where Violet finally learns the truth about what's beyond the wards and loses not only a friend in the fight, but her sense of gravity as her world is turned upside down.
Before we get into it, this is your warning for major spoilers ahead. This includes potentially all Empyrean series materials, including bonus chapters and interviews with the author. We're also avid fans of the Moss universe and might accidentally let spoilers slip for other popular romantasy book series as well. Sorry in advance, like the books, this podcast is rated R, so be warned.
Also, a friendly reminder to please like, subscribe, and follow. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube.
Alright, last we left off, Violet and Xaden's relationship had just turned physical in the best way possible, but Xaden tells Violet not to fall for him, which rubs Violet the wrong way. And Professor Carr invites Violet to the mountaintop to train, but I couldn't remember if we actually talked about this scene last episode or not. I know we talked about how I didn't trust Carr at all, but did we talk about the fact that she immediately feels like he's gonna kill her?
No, I don't remember us discussing that even one bit.
I don't either.
She is afraid of him, though.
Yeah, her signet is not illegal, so I'm not understanding why she thinks that he'll kill her, but it is telling that she's afraid of him.
Doesn't he warn her, though? I was kind of curious if he was a good guy, because I thought he warned her at some point about, I think it was like her and Xaden together, that the two of them together could be considered dangerous. So it almost felt like
he did
helpful warning.
Yeah. He was like, make sure you make your loyalties known.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, I think, that she fears that he will kill her, and that's a possibility for her. Moving on to our section this time, we start off with Xaden coming in and helping Violet clean up the destruction that they caused.
Right.
And this is the memory that Dane saw when he steals her memory.
Do we know that? How do we know what memory he steals?
Because Dane says in Iron Flame that he knows it's Athbean. This is the only time that Xaden tells her about Athbean.
Yeah.
And that Bodhi was involved.
Right.
And she very specifically says, it was that time that you were returning with your cousin Bodhi.
Mm-hmm.
Right before Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me wonder, this occurs in May. He potentially doesn't read her until July.
Okay.
But he says that he can only read recent memories.
What does recent mean?
Exactly.
Like, how
He's
recent is recent?
Well, plus he's a liar. I mean,
also, he lies. He's already lied about his signet once. He's already kind of said, oh, I just have to touch someone's face.
Temples.
He says temples.
And then their face.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just have to put my hands on them. So it makes me wonder. He says that he only saw a glimpse of this conversation. And he seems to not know that Violet and Xaden are a thing when...
Ain't no way.
They're on the fight field. But literally, if he is stealing her memory in July, if he is, I have doubts, how could he not have seen more than just this one moment?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think you're overestimating his level of smartness. I think along with being a liar, he's also an idiot. I mean, the fact that He doesn't know that. Or again, what we talked about last week, Imogen. I mean, if she has wiped this boy's brains to the to the point that he is just a moron. I mean, how beautiful would that be?
You're like, or the other option.
This is how Imogen is using her signet right now.
That's really funny.
I do have a side note because we do go into a montage of after they have this little fight and they're like, well, you know, I'll risk my heart when I'm ready and I'll let you know. Violet and Xaden have these little moments where they flirt mind to mind.
Yeah.
And Violet says, I don't even really miss the sex. I miss the feeling of him curled around me in sleep. And I was like, another reason why I relate to her so much. That's my favorite feeling.
Yeah, like sleeping next to someone you love. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So for both of you, you like to sleep in bed with somebody with them touching you, like spooning?
Yeah.
I start off the night like that. Mm-hmm. I end up away from them. But I like to sleep on somebody, like cuddled up on a chest.
I usually end up hitting someone, so I can't stay that way, but yeah.
Huh. I'm total opposite. I mean, if I have somebody touching me, it makes me feel panicked. I start panicking.
I get that. Yeah. That's probably like a sensory thing.
Yeah.
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 I have to make my room a freezer box in order for it to happen. But
you and your fan.
You know.
So if you're warm, then you can't cuddle with somebody.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
No.
But I did have a question so supposedly Dane steals this memory on reunification day right in front of Liam.
Yeah.
All the marked ones have been warned about Dane.
Right. Why
didn't Liam tell Xaden before they left? Or something, because that would have been like a, hey, heads up warning.
I mean, I would think that, one, Liam is, human and capable of flaws. And two, just because he touched her does not mean he read her. Because, as we've seen up to this point, he touches her a lot. And that doesn't seem to indicate every single time that he's being deceptive or sneaky in any way. So, I don't know. He might not have thought anything of it.
So he claims.
Right.
Okay, Brittany, why do you keep using the word supposedly when you talk about him reading her?
Because she knows things that we don't know.
No, this is not an Onyx Storm thing. This is not an Onyx Storm thing. It's when I read the timeline, when I was rereading, I wrote down, okay, this happens here, and it doesn't add up. But we'll get more to that when we get to that section.
Okay.
So while they're cleaning up, they do find this note from Papa Sorengale.
Right.
Papa Smurf.
Yeah, I don't like the Papa. I don't like the Papa. I was like, Daddy Sorengale, Mr. Sorengale. I like that. That's fine. Papa doesn't feel right.
Mr. Sorengale. No.
Oh, please. Disgusting. That's disgusting. I don't know Daddy Sorengale, but I know that he would not appreciate that, ma'am.
I don't know if you would like Daddy too.
No. No. It doesn't have to be like that, you weirdo. Papa, I feel, is worse. I don't know. I don't like that in connection with him.
Yeah.
Daddy has weird connotations, which is why I was using Papa.
It does, but I feel like it could be anything else. For some reason, I don't like Papa. I can't hear Violet saying Papa, I guess.
True, I can't hear her saying Daddy either.
Yeah,
though.
I agree. So I don't know.
Anyway, it's the letter is dated a few months before his death, and it says, remember that folklore is passed from one generation to the next to teach us about our past. If we lose it, we lose our links to the past. It only takes one desperate generation to change history, even erase it. Mm-hmm. I know you'll make the right choice when the time comes.
Yeah.
And he wrote this thinking that Violet was going to be in the scribe quadrant.
Yeah. Well, one, how very topical. And then two, this is something that she reflects upon when the time comes in the next few chapters when she finds out about the venom and Xaden is trying to convince her that they're real. What she keeps reflecting upon is this idea that it does not take much to change history and that her dad clearly was trying to send her a message. And I think that this is such a fun, interesting message for the story because we see that a lot in fantasy books, but never have we actually seen it play out politically in a lot of romantasy books, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like a lot of romantasy books will kind of gloss over that kind of thing. So I think Yarros did a really good job kind of pushing that to the front.
Yeah.
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 Brittany, I had the same question that you did for Daddy Thorngil. That was he killed or did he die of natural causes? Because he also, I can't remember where it was at, but it said something about losing my brother made my father more reclusive. So I'm assuming he knew that Brennan was still alive, and I'm assuming he realized that half his family was on one side and half was on the other side. Is there a chance he's still alive too and part of that rebellion?
Unfortunately, that was a popular theory when Fourth Wing came out, and Rebecca Yarros did shut it down and was like, nope, he is dead, he's gone. But I don't think that he knew that Brennan was alive.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
In his note, or I think it somewhere in there, he was like, if the worst has happened and I've joined your brother in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he really thought that he had died. And I personally think that somebody killed him, or if he died of a natural cause, that it was because of something someone else did. So that's my theory.
Lilith killed him?
I feel like he got more reclusive because he was upset by the fact that he knew his son died for no reason, that this rebellion was a righteous rebellion, and literally his son was sacrificed for no reason, and that they weren't fighting the real enemy. And I think he was killed probably on the orders of Markham for trying to unravel the secret. The same thing that Lilith says in Iron Flame that would have potentially happened to Violet if she went into the scribe quadrant.
If Markham was the one that had him killed, would she have stayed general, though?
It depends. He could be lying to her as well. I don't know what happened. I mean, literally, Colonel Atos tries to have her daughter killed in the next book, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Could she have been a part of his death? Showing her loyalty?
Oh my gosh. No.
I don't think Lilith would have been a part of that.
Well, I think, or at the very least, maybe that's why she didn't want her, like you said, to go into the scribe quadrant, because maybe that is what got him killed. And in her estimation, moving her to the writer's quadrant would have been safer.
Maybe. I think we discussed this in the last episode, but my theory is that there's something bigger going on, and that the reason they wanted her in the scribe quadrant, that was like the plan all along, was because of something larger going on. Because they didn't want her in harm's way in some way. And I think that is not because they were worried about her safety, but rather they were worried about larger things at play. And so they were like, put her in the scribe quadrant. It won't put her on the front line and start some shit, whatever that shit may be. And then at the last minute, Lilith Sorrengail, she decided at the last minute, you know what? I think Violet can make it. I think Violet is just as smart as her dad, and she can influence things in a way that he was trying to do, but she could be successful. And so I think she was like, you need to go to the writer's quadrant because I have faith in you. And, or at least that's my theory overall. I don't know what all of those variables are, but that is the feeling that I get deep in my soul.
Well,
that is my theory.
It does bring up some other questions, this whole note. This is a forbidden text. How did he get a hold of it? He's apparently had it for quite some time.
Well, I
Daddy
mean,
is-
When Violet was very young.
what were you about to say?
What do you say? Daddy is sneaky.
Stop! I am so...
Daddy.
That grossed me out so much. I just got whole body shivers. Oh my god, that was horrifying. So where did he get the text? That's a great question, but probably just because he's a scribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. He found it before somebody else did and made sure that it was safe, I guess.
He's had it since Violet and Mira and Brennan were all little.
Yeah, well, who knows how long he's been a scribe?
All right. Well, also, what is the choice he was talking about?
The choice? I think we're supposed to assume that it's choose the right side. You know? What side of history do you want to be on?
Yeah.
But that seems too straightforward for Rebecca Yarros, so...
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think that it is. I think he's telling her to make the right choice in terms of, because I'm assuming the scribes would be the ones to erase information if they're instructed to do so. So maybe that was her instruction to, okay, you're going to have to make a choice whether command or save the actual history.
Maybe. But we don't know what would have happened if she stayed a scribe, though. I mean, obviously, like I said, be on the right side of history. Scribes are important for that. But I wonder what they had planned for her had she been a scribe.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things we don't know.
All right. We do get to see Melgren up close and personal at Reunification Day party thing with the king. Is Melgren a potential traitor? We do know his signet. It is the ability to see the outcome of a battle before it even happens, with the exception of the marked ones. But Violet says, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if General Melgren ripped a mask off one day and revealed he was a terrifying villain. That man has always given me the creeps. And she always described him as having beady eyes and making her skin crawl and all these other things every time she has an interaction with him.
Right. I mean, I think up to this point, we know that usually Violet's feelings, they're pretty accurate about somebody. Not always, but usually. We have to remember that she is also biased, so we never know. But he does seem like he'd probably be a bad guy.
If he is venom,
all that power corrupts.
then that means again, that's what we talked about last week too, is if some of these people are actually venom, their dragons have to know. So why would they keep that to themselves?
That is a good point. I had the same question of, if Naolan turned venom, wouldn't Taryn tell people? And wouldn't they still technically be bonded? Jack?
Yeah, you would think. Yeah.
Jack was bonded to Bade. Why didn't Bade tell anybody?
Yeah. And that's the weird part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, are dragons just as... I'm assuming dragons can be just as power hungry.
Yes.
And so... But again, it kind of brings us back to what power do the dragons have? And, why would they want to bond with a venom? Yeah.
No clue.
What would be the benefit? I don't know. Besides power.
I think that would be it.
I would think that they would have to be not a venom before bonding. But who knows?
But that's odd, though, because venom are created when they try to get that power for themselves without going through a dragon or griffin, right?
Yeah. You don't have to have a dragon in order to become a venom, but if you do have a dragon, then I would think that you would have to be a not venom before you bonded. I don't think a dragon would willingly bond with a venom because they can literally just drain the dragon.
Right. Well, it does beg the question of, what are wyverns? Are they dragons whose magic have been drained? But that also doesn't make sense because they don't look like dragons. Don't they only have 2 legs? And dragons canonically are supposed to have 4.
And they're all gray.
And they're all gray.
And you would think Taryn or some of the others would have noticed that some of their their fellow dragons were disappearing.
Sure. Well, not if they were taking babies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's actually a really good... What if they were babies?
Yeah, if they took babies at a young age and then maybe fucked with them, they might not come out normal. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't really think about that till now, but where else would the wyvern come from? I don't know.
There's also the rune-marked rock thing that they found in Iron Flame, but we'll talk more about that when we discuss Iron Flame. Just keep that in mind, because where do the wyvern come from? Wyvern,
I don't know.
So when they're at this party, Liam says he's not going to leave Violet when your greatest danger approaches. And this is when King Tari, Lilith Sorengale, and General Melgren are approaching. So is Melgren the greatest danger? Is it the king? Is it her mom? Who is this greatest danger?
Yeah, I think from Liam's perspective, it probably would be Melgren. But I think he might be saying to Violet, oh, clearly it's your mom. But he might not mean that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. He also says, and you made a note of this too, I don't know who made a note of this first, but when he's talking about basically saying that, of course, I'm not happy to be here, when he's talking to Violet, he's like, I'm not happy to be here. And I'm sure you're not very happy to be here either. I mean, your brother also died. And she basically says, Brennan would hate all of this.
Yeah.
And he says, yeah, sounds like... And then his words stop there. He cuts himself off, or she squeezes his arm and that cuts him off, or what. But either way, he almost says, yeah, that sounds like Brennan.
Yeah.
Which is a big slip up that I never noticed when I first read the book.
Yeah.
But she is so clever at sneaking those little things in there.
She is, because I also missed it when we first read it. And
yeah,
I think I noticed it on probably the 5th read because I was looking for things.
Right, yeah. I mean, I noticed it this time because I was so dialed in trying to find stuff. And the fact that he says, yeah, sounds like, just so casually, like he starts to say that, and it's like, oh my god, he was about to say Brennan.
Oops, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
I did not catch that.
Yeah, right? It actually makes me sad because I wish Violet knew that they know Brennan at this point.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they do end up leaving the party, of course, after running into Dane, which we are led to believe that this is when he cups her face here, and we are led to believe this is when he steals her memory.
Right.
But she runs off to go get Xaden. He is on the parapet, and he's furious with her for being up there, and he does say, you're going to be the death of me. It's not the first time that he said it, and he says it during their first time sleeping together. He says it in the cafeteria when they're mind flirting. He says it on the parapet. He also says it when they're getting dressed for urgent formation. But a lot of people claim or believe that this is some kind of prophecy, that he says it so much that she is going to actually be the death of him.
I don't know about that.
Me either.
I don't know about that. Yeah. I think that's a silly theory.
I hate it. I refuse. There's a couple of theories out there that I'm like, nope. Like the one...
Brittany will not look at it, think about it, speak of it. Yeah. Xaden's death is not in our corner. Yeah. We're not thinking about that.
There was a theory out there that Taryn was going to die in Onyx Storm, and...
Why would he die?
I'm like, no, he can't die. He can't die because he's bonded to Violet, and if he dies, then Violet dies. That doesn't...
If anyone's gonna die, it's not gonna be Taryn. I'll say that right now. I feel like out of all the characters that are gonna die, it cannot be the dragons. People would flip.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'd rather Xaden die than the dragons.
What if they kill Andarna?
No, they can't kill Andarna. They can't.
Same thing.
No.
Same thing. I believe Andarna. The book literally starts out with A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead.
Yeah, but she still has Tarn. That could be enough for her to hold on.
I refuse.
I do not want Andarna to die, but now, after y'all talking about it, I'm worried they're going to kill her.
I also think that Andarna is integral to the plot and saving whatever is going on here, so I don't think that that's going to happen unless it's like a sacrifice thing.
I hope so, because I could see her in one of the 4th or 5th books, like a big battle, and they're all fighting, and it's super serious, and Andarna kind of waddles out there with her big old butt and is like picking a booger, and then all of a sudden just like fucking kills everybody. You know, like she's that powerful that she's like, okay, here we go. Yeah.
I hope that happens because that would just make her so happy.
If she's like giggling, and, yeah, okay, you die. Okay, bye-bye. You know? I could just see that for her. I think I would hope. That's what I hope happens, that she is just the most powerful.
Yeah.
But I was like, fuck, because right now she would be a horrible death.
Yeah.
But okay, sorry, I didn't mean to bring us down. Let's move past that and pretend I didn't say it.
Andarna is not dying. Xaden is not dying.
Caleb is not dying.
Melodramatic. Yeah, Caleb is not dying. Xaden is just melodramatic, and everyone can shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Not you guys, the people online.
All right, well, I want to point out Violet's slight hypocrisy here. She tells Xaden, "You think we don't have a future because you're scared that I won't like who you really are behind all those walls you keep, and I'm scared too, I can admit it. You're graduating, I'm not. You'll be gone in a matter of weeks, and we're probably setting ourselves up for heartbreak. But if we let fear kill whatever this is between us, then we don't deserve it." She basically says, I see your actions, and your actions tell me that you love me. And you think that I won't accept you for who you are. And then when it comes down to it, he was fucking right.
I don't think he was right. I think she had a moment of doubt.
It's a book of doubt. I'm just saying.
You mean Iron Flame?
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
I thought you meant when she found out that he was working with the rebellion still, with the Flyers.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were referring to as well.
When she finds out that he is supplying weapons to the Griffins, she says, I've been played. She goes on in Iron Flame to be like, you never really loved me. You were just playing me. All these things. No, but she literally lists out all of his actions. She's like, you've never said that you love me. List out all of his actions where she's like, I know you love me.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I still blame her, though. I mean, right now, she is right. As of where they are right now, she's right. He is showing that he does love her and he cares about her.
I get it.
And it's kind of like when you say you promise that you're not going to be mad at somebody. They're like, promise you won't be mad at me. And you're like, okay, of course, I'm not going to be mad at you. And then they do something terrible and you're like, okay, well, I obviously have to be mad at you for that. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, in technicality, I told you I wasn't going to be mad at you, but you also really fucked up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think we'll get to it when we get to it. But I think Iron Flame is another one of those cases where it's like, no way could she have expected what was to come.
Yeah.
And I have to give her the credit that she, in this book, she takes a moment, she goes, what the fuck? And then she's like, okay, hold on a second. He is still the guy that I know. He is still a good man. My dad has been sending me messages. Let me put this all together. And she makes the right choice. But I don't think that's fair to Violet, and we can discuss it further during Iron Flame.
Okay. And I do want to say, when I first read this book and she does the, are you sleeping with Imogen? I was a little disappointed because I'm not real thrilled about the way that went down. But since I've read Onyx Storm, I will say, this conversation makes a whole lot more sense now.
I think Yeah, I think the thing where she asks if he is sleeping with Imogen and it feels totally left field and she's like being ridiculous, that was one of the most relatable things I've ever read in a book. Because I was like, holy shit, Violet is a real woman. Like,
that is exactly
totally
what I put.
Being so paranoid and out of your mind that you're like, I know this is not realistic. But I am going to ask him to make myself feel better, and then we'll see what he says. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he responded in a way that I think was reasonable. He was like, are you fucking kidding me? But but I still really related with, you know, her asking that and being insecure, despite how cool and badass Violet is. She still has those moments of, can I trust you? Are you going to break my heart? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally get it.
That's actually exactly what I put in the notes when Brittany listed that, was it's stuff like that that makes her so relatable, because I think all of us have those like insane moments where you're insecure, you read into things, absolutely. I love that make her that way.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate her for it or anything. I was just, it felt out of left field. And again, now that I've read Onyx Storm, I'm like, oh, well, that makes so much more sense.
I obviously have not read Onyx Storm, but that makes me think that somebody cheated on Violet. Spoiler, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is it really a spoiler?
I don't know, but poor Violet.
Well, I also agree. You, Lily, put this in the notes that this is one of the best smut scenes. I love this chapter. Yeah,
like the first one is fun. They destroy the room. It's
awkward.
Just a blast.
It's great.
Literally. However, this scene where they're intimate and he absolutely loses his fucking mind when she says, I love you, I was like, oh my god, this is the best scene ever. I reread it and was like, I forgot how much I like Xaden in this book. Oh, he's so good in this one.
Can I quote, oh god, who are you calling out for? Because it's only you and me in this room.
I hate that.
And I don't share.
Yeah, I like that. I don't share a lot. And the fact that he's like, say it again.
And
say it again.
Oh my god, when Garrett comes to the door and he's like, I'm sorry, but you gotta come out.
Yeah.
He's like, go the fuck away.
No, I do have a question, however.
Okay.
There is a line in this scene that makes me think of your question about you're gonna be the death of me. It's when he says, I want this to last. He says that during them having sex, right? That could mean a lot of things. That could mean I want this to last sex-wise, as in, I'm gonna finish too soon. I need this to last longer, right? That could mean I want our relationship to last, right? As in, he really likes her. He wants their relationship to last a long time, okay? That could also mean, this is maybe left field, totally crazy theory, I want this to last as in my life, my time here. Is he, if we're going back to him saying, you're gonna be the death of me, are we gonna have this weird situation where he's cursed and he can't love someone, or, I don't know, like, is this gonna be a Tamlin moment where his heart is stone and he has to break a curse? What's going on? I
cannot believe you just equated him to Tamlin.
Okay, well, he's cursed. I did not equate him to Tamlin. I equated him to having the same issue as him.
I'm shocked Brittany didn't jump in.
Brittany's not jumping in because I'm right.
I mean, we know that at the end of Iron Flame, Xaden has turned Venin. Of course, he's probably going to have some I'm going to hurt Violet moments.
But he doesn't know that now.
Angel and Buffy. Right?
I don't know what that means. That's unfair.
One of these days.
I could spoil it for you if you'd like.
No, I want to watch it eventually.
How is it spoiling? It's pretty much from the get-go they say it.
Well,
you could just tell her the curse, not the exact... Okay.
Angel has a curse.
Yeah, he does.
There you go. And maybe Xaden has a curse. But after after this amazing sex scene, which again, I think is one of the best in the series, when they're leaving because they get called out and everyone's like, knocking on the door, like, get up! He puts his jacket around her, which
yeah.
Swoon. I know. And they get down to where everyone is assembled, and Rhee is like, excuse me, is that the jacket that I think that it is?
And I love that Liam's head was like, what?
Yeah. And the fact that, first of all, Rhee notices it immediately. So that. And then two, as soon as Dane walks over, she's like, anyway, and then puts her hand over it or whatever. She's like, hey, Dane. That is a friend if I've ever seen one.
Yes.
Love her.
I love that interaction all around.
Yeah.
How do you know it's Xaden's jacket? It could be any third year.
It's like, yeah, okay. She's like, and the wing leader patch, and this, and that. And she's like, all right, it's Xaden's.
Yeah, it's fine.
Rhiannon's like, please.
So we get our first real interaction with Colonel Atos here as well. And again, on this who might be Venin, what's his signet? And we know he's a bad guy in the sense that he literally, like I said, he literally tries to have Violet assassinated.
Yeah.
But how bad is he? Is he working with the Venin? Is he just mad that they know about the Venin and they're not supposed to?
He's Vard.
He's Vard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy. I know, he could be. I would feel like the doctor is Vard. The healer.
Nolan.
Was it Nolan?
Nolan.
Yeah, he's Vard. He's the one creating monsters.
I think I'd looked at him as Vard more in the sense of that he seems like almost like a puppet master. He's not going to get his hands dirty too much in a fight like that, but he's going to move other people around in a way that they're going to do him.
I gotcha.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say he's a weasel, but I'm not going to put weasels down that way.
Classic Christy. A weasel is better.
Yes, he's lower than dirt.
Yeah.
Both Nolan and Atos. We don't know his first name yet.
Colonel Atos?
Yeah. We know Panchek and Melgren because they wrote books. We don't know Atos.
Right.
Is he going to be like the king? The unnamed king?
Classic.
Well, the group is instructed to go to various outposts and they're going to pretend war. Wing leaders are told to assemble their headquarters squad from their wing. They can choose anybody. And Xaden composes his entire squad of marked ones, except for Violet. And I do agree with you, Christy, that Violet's silver hair kind of does make her a marked one in a way.
Definitely.
She is marked.
Yeah.
But
definitely makes her stand out.
Yeah.
we learn in Chapter 7 that marked ones assembling in groups of 3 or more will be considered an act of seditious conspiracy and is hereby a capital offense. How did he get away with an entire squad? 9 marked ones.
That's so true.
I mean,
that's insane.
yeah, I mean, well, one, Xaden does what he wants, for one. And then two, because they're all assembled together, nobody can see them because Melgren can't see him if they're assembled, right?
Yeah.
So.
But once they come back, they have to know who's on his squad eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess he's been getting away with it for a little while, kind of going in teams. So obviously they're not enforcing it to the degree that is in the Codex.
Do you think it's a plot hole, or do you think there's a reason for it?
Or it's somebody's signet.
I partially think they allowed it because they knew what was going to happen to them and might as well let all the marked ones die as opposed to good cadets.
Right.
Do you think there's a marked one that's a traitor?
No, I'm thinking like Colonel Atos knew he was sending them to die.
Right.
And so that's why I think leadership didn't care.
Speaking of sending them to die, can we talk about the fact that as they're about to go, Dane says, "I'll miss you, Violet."
Yeah.
And you're telling me that we're supposed to give him another chance?
Yeah.
You're telling me that he's supposed to have a redemption arc. You're telling me, Yarros, I'm talking to you, bitch. You're telling me that I'm the crazy one for not giving him a second chance. That is nuts. I want to refer you to this scene specifically as he sends Violet to her death. What kind of friend would do that knowingly, willingly?
Yeah. He says in Iron Flame that he was saying, "I'll miss you because you chose him, and I told you all these things that you may not know about him, and you still chose him, and I was saying goodbye to the chance of us." That is a bullshit response. I had a friend once who dated a guy that I and her other friends did not like. And her other friends did distance themselves from her because of this guy. And I told them off because there was no reason to give up on the friendship just because of this guy that she was dating.
Yeah.
They were getting in the way of their friendship.
Right.
Whereas I told him, I was like, look, she's my friend, not him. He has nothing to do with my relationship with her. And it reminds me of this situation a little bit. Like Dane is the one who's getting in the way of their relationship. He can still have a friendship with her if he would just get over the fact that she has a relationship with Xaden.
I just think, okay, let's say what he says in Iron Flame is true, and that he wasn't knowingly sending her to her death, and that's not what he meant. I cannot understand, if you care about her, why you would do all of these things. Because just personally, I wouldn't want to be friends with someone selfish enough to continuously not consider my own feelings in the situation. And I personally just don't think it's reasonable to give him a second chance whenever he continues to act so childishly.
I agree.
He's just not a good friend to her. Even if that's what he meant, he's just not being a good friend at every turn. And I understand this is new for him and he's jealous and blah, blah, blah. But goddamn, I don't think I would want to continue being friends with someone like that. Even if it was just a slip up, even if I understand people would be like, oh, people make mistakes. He made a lot of mistakes.
A lot.
And she told him multiple times, you're not being fair. You're not being reasonable. You're hurting my feelings. And what did he keep doing?
But he also didn't believe her either with Amber.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is that when they get to Athbean and they question her about whether Dane stole her memory, she's like, or he could just be continuing to respect my boundaries. Did he ever respect her boundaries? Yeah. She's got some rose-colored glasses when it comes to Dane. And this whole situation with the Venin and Liam and Soleil dying rips them off pretty quickly.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think he's more of a company man. He's going to do whatever the company wants him to do.
I think him losing Violet in Iron Flame did change something. Because throughout this book, he's like, I'm not going to break a rule to save her life. And then he does end up going with the rebellion. I think it was her showing him the memory of Resson that did it. So hopefully there's some hope for him. But at this moment, I'm like,
Yeah, I agree. Moving into the next chapter. Once they get on their way, like they're on the way to Resson and they get stopped. And throughout the flight and when they get there, Xaden kind of tells her, he's like, oh, you're tired, you don't feel good. you should go rest. You're really tired. You should go rest. You should go eat. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, is he telling her to go rest so he can go do secret spy things? So he can go do smuggler things while she's resting? And I don't know if that's true, but it's a little shady.
That is true. Although he does tell them that they're a day early, so he wasn't expecting them.
Yeah, but maybe he wasn't going to meet them. Maybe he was going to talk to all of his buddies about smuggling.
Potentially.
He brought all of them with him. So, I don't know. I just thought it was like,
But also...
they are early, but...
But also, if you think about it, Violet and Xaden have both been awake since July 1st. It is now July 2nd at 1 p.m. at the lake. July 1st at 7 a.m., I think they said they'd get up, or 6 a.m., I can't remember, for breakfast. So they've been up since then, because they were going for round 5 and didn't sleep.
Yeah, it's fair. It was just on my mind.
I mean, it's a good thought. You never know what's going through Xaden's mind.
Yeah, and Taryn says it too. He's like, yeah, you should go sleep. And I'm like, I don't trust you right now.
Well, speaking of the 1 p.m. thing, this is where I was like, okay, so time frame. If Dane stole the memory at the reunification party, that was July 1st, sometime in the evening.
Right.
Xaden and Violet get interrupted at 4:15, July 2nd.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They go to urgent formation. They get 30 minutes to be on the flight field. Let's say they leave around 5 a.m. They make it to the lake at about 1 p.m., which is about 8 hours of flight, but Violet says it's about 7 hours in the saddle from when they left. They're going to spend half an hour there, and then it's a 20-minute flight to Athbean. At that point, Athbean, which had, 300 people? 200 people, has been emptied out. The box has been planted in Resson to draw the Venin in. Venin who aren't normally in the area. So, you're expecting it might take a minute for them to come. I feel like from the time frame of when Dane touched her face at that party to a few hours later, that was not enough time for him to put this whole plan in motion.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
So it begs the question of, when did Dane steal this memory? Was it at the party or was it before then? Especially with the whole, I can only read recent memories.
Again, what is recent?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Griffin writer says, we lost a village in the vicinity to a horde of Venin 2 days ago, and they don't normally come west. So were they coming because they were drawn there by the box? Was it on the way? Or were they just happened to be in the area?
This makes me wonder if, okay, maybe this is a crazy theory, but let's say that is the time frame that Dane saw that memory at the time that we think, which is shortly after or shortly before they leave, like hours before.
Mm-hmm.
Is someone else an intrinsic that we don't know about, and that they saw Dane read that memory? I don't know.
That's a thought.
Who was it that you said that we don't know their power? Was it Carr?
We don't know Panchek's power. We don't know Colonel Atos' power.
What if it is an intrinsic?
Ooh. What if it's Atos? Because he could have a similar signet, maybe not mind reading, but Dane's is so close to mind reading. It's really close.
Mm-hmm.
What if Colonel Atos is something adjacent to that?
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean,
maybe they were planning something for a while, but then Dane was the last nail in the coffin? Who knows?
I think that if there is another intrinsic out there, it has to be a second signet, because otherwise, how do you get away with it?
Well, yeah, maybe.
Unless they're...
like a hidden second signet?
Yeah, unless they're allowing...
They could be. Like somebody in leadership is molding or molded Atos into what they wanted him. Like they use him.
Could be, though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They would have had to have known what he could become from an early age. Or maybe, is their family aristocratic? I don't think so, but...
Danes?
Yeah.
I would think so, because he grew up with Violet.
Yeah.
Violet says she's not aristocratic, though. She just has a mother who's a general.
She's mistaken, actually, because she grew up as the daughter of a general, and also, knowing some of the things we know about her later, as she dated another noble, I can't imagine that she wouldn't be somewhat aristocratic.
She doesn't have a title, which is what she meant.
Yeah, that's just because she doesn't have a title does not mean...
But
I was like, Violet's wrong.
Anyway, we do see Violet feeling very betrayed here, and I do understand it. I do think that she is absolutely right in feeling that way. However, if it were me, as soon as I realized that the Venin were real, and that the weapons he was supplying was to kill the Venin, and the Griffin Rider coming up saying, "We appreciate all that you've done. You've kept us alive these past years," I would have given him some slack. I would have still felt hurt and betrayed a little bit, but I don't know if I would have been like, "Nope, I don't love you anymore."
She's very dramatic here. And well, I mean, it's shortly after that she's like, "Well, I'm angry that I still love you." So she knows she's being ridiculous, but it's just funny.
And it's not only Xaden's betrayal, but there's Dane's betrayal,
and Taryn.
Navarre's betrayal, and Taryn, because Taryn obviously knew that the Venin were real.
Yeah. I think that would be hard, though.
Last bit.
After all the shit she's gone through and being left out, that probably kind of triggers back to being left out, that everybody else knew and she didn't.
Yeah, I mean, imagine... I don't know, especially she's already now really confided a lot in Xaden. The fact that he lied to her, I think, is what sucks the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, this is something that Navarre, as a country, has told him he has to keep to himself or die.
I know you're a Xaden apologist, but I will continue to fight for Violet's honor.
Well, it's not even being a Xaden apologist. I just don't believe that we owe each other every bit of our lives. And again,
I agree with that.
If somebody has to keep a secret, if the government, like my dad has security clearances where he gets to know things that he can't come home and tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Violet's defense, the fact that her life is tied to his, and to lie about something like that could put her in danger as well. I can understand the frustration. I do get that you should each, you can each have your own secrets and it's up to you to share those. But once they start to mix, and if something happens to him, or even to his dragon, then that affects her too. So I can understand her frustration with that on that level.
Yeah, but it's not just... I understand the frustration, and I think it's valid, and I think it's understandable to a degree. I don't like how far she takes it in Iron Flame.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this secret puts everybody's life in danger. It's not just Violet's. Everybody in Navarre is at risk. Everybody should be told, but the government is like, no.
Yeah.
And they told them when they came in, if you talk about this, you die. Like we killed your father over this. Literally made him watch.
I see both sides, but I will say that I understand Xaden not telling her, mostly because they have not been together that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
true.
If we're just being honest, he's got a lot going on that has a lot of people involved. And he doesn't know fully yet, how to talk to her, if he can say everything. Just because they say they love each other doesn't mean they just have to, here's my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I agree with that, yeah.
And like I said, I agree with being upset about it. I would be upset too. I'm upset when there's gossip and I don't know about it. But and gossip that doesn't even affect me. I just like to know things.
Right.
And I'm sure Violet is the same way. I just think that she takes it a little far. And so with Taryn knowing, I had some questions of... So Naolan was bonded to Taryn during the Battle of Veracia.
Right.
They were obviously on Navarre's side. So when did Taryn change sides? Was it after Naolan died? Maybe. Who knows? Although again, I bring up, if he didn't die, he would still technically be bonded to Taryn.
What if he died and came back?
Could be.
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm still on the fence about what happened to him.
Same.
I think Taryn was on the side of the rebels before. And Naolan.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
He was fighting
sure.
on Brennan's side, though, for Navarre.
But Brennan is on the rebel side.
Now that he is resurrected.
True.
We don't know when he turned. He could have turned before, but it's reported that Finn Ryerson was the one who actually put an arrow in Brennan's heart. So it kind of makes me think that he was not on the rebel side at that point.
Right.
Well, what if that was all a setup and then the arrow had some sort of something in it that made him look dead to everybody else, so they would think he was dead, but they were really working together. So
elaborate, but there's potential.
Your face after that was like...
You're like, huh? Yeah.
Oh, man. But it does beg the question of, was it when Sigale bonded Xaden that he changed? Was it Naolan's death that he changed sides? When did Taryn change sides?
It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good question. It's whenever Sigale bonded Xaden.
Yeah.
Which also begs the question, why did Sigale bond Xaden?
Other than the fact that he's really cool.
Did she bond him knowing that she had to know that he knew about the venom?
Yeah, for sure.
Did she bond him thinking, oh, maybe I want to fight on his side?
Probably.
There's got to be something with the dragons that has gone back farther, that they've already had different factions and different sides.
Yeah.
All right. So they get to Athbean. It's empty. And I have a random thought to put in y'all's head. When the Venin appear, they are wearing purple robes. In this series, colors seem to be very important. You've got the various colors of the dragons, which means different things. And the riders wear black, flyers wear brown, scribes wear cream, infantry wear blue. I can't remember what the healers wear, but colors seem to be very important. So I wonder...
Isn't purple royal?
It is in our culture.
Like gods?
Don't know. That was like, I wonder what the meaning of this purple robe is. Does it have significance?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
Food for thought to think about. All right. Well, I wonder about the Venin's powers. Liam says, and I swear to Dune, 1 second the plane was clear, and the next they were just there, walking towards the gate. We learn in Iron Flame that the Flyers have lesser magic, but some of them have signet-like powers. And I think I've told y'all before, I think that the Venin also have signet-like powers.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. We can talk about it more in the second and third book, but it seems to be that they got some stuff going on, as we see in the fight and in the introduction to them, that they seem to just be able to do stuff, like pull shit out of their ass. And oftentimes it's way more powerful than you would think.
Yeah.
So, more powerful than the Flyers, but not a signet. Christy's laughing that I said pull stuff out of their ass.
My first thought was, well, we can all do that. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
Help it.
It's funny.
I like the Venom.
Did you say I like the Venom?
Kind of. I don't know. They seem like the bad guy, but what if the bad guys are really the good guys?
They
As of
killed
right now-
Soleil and Liam.
Yeah. I was like,
that's
hold on.
That's
As
true.
of right now, bad things happen when they show up.
That's true.
People have died. People died, Christy. Pull out the Kardashian meme. People died.
That's true. And with Liam's dragon, that was really brutal. Oh, God, that broke my heart when it broke my heart Liam died too, but the scene with the dragon.
That's so bad.
God. Yeah, that was hard.
When Liam dies, every time I hear it or read it, at least a single tear is shed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I shed more for his dragon than I did. I love Liam, but obviously the little animal is what's going to kill me.
Ugh, Liam.
So I retract
was one
my
of
Venom.
favorite characters.
I retract my Venom statement. Never mind. I forgot.
I will say this about his death. Rebecca Yarros gives us, that meme that went around for a while that was like, you can't summon a fandom with 4 words and, there's various ones.
Yeah.
She gave us, "It's been my honor." Hurts my heart every time I hear it.
Oh,
The one that kills me is "And so Lorcan did."
What?
Yeah. What did Lorcan
And
do?
so Lorcan did.
Oh,
You don't remember that?
no. We'll talk about it after.
Well, during that scene, Liam does ask Violet to take care of his sister. And
Yes.
I just want to say, Jesse from Novel Heartbeat reported a theory that had been circulating on the internet before Iron Flame came out. And
Is this on Threads?
it wasn't on Threads. This Novel Heartbeat is a blog.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen it in several places. It was just, that was where I saw it last.
Okay.
But she reported on this theory that a lot of people thought that Sloane would end up being deaf because Liam knew sign language and was able...
This is so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was able to communicate
Didn't we talk
with...
about this already?
Not on the podcast.
Sorry.
It's okay. He knew sign language and was very proficient and able to talk to Jacinia, and he asked Violet instead of his foster brother Xaden to take care of Sloane, who is also, again, proficient in sign language. So they were like, she must be deaf. And I gotta say, it's a very American thought that you would only need to know sign language if you knew a deaf person. And I gotta say, I love that Rebecca Yarros makes this a common language. Almost every character who interacts with Jacinia signs perfectly well. Almost every single one.
It's crazy that more people don't know sign language. It's easy to learn, and there are plenty of deaf people out there that would really appreciate if we did know. How that is so crazy to me that people were like, oh, he obviously has someone in his family that is deaf because he speaks sign language.
Yeah.
Like, girl.
Because the only reason
What?
you'd need to know it is if you knew somebody.
It's just like, it should be more normalized that people just know sign language.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Or it should be. But the other 2 things about Liam that I wanted to talk about during this battle is that a crate with Liam's family's crest shows up in this town.
Yeah.
And Liam wields ice when his signet is Farsight.
So it's interesting about the crate of his family crest, because I didn't pick that up until you pointed it out, I think. And you say in the notes that he says it's highly unstable.
Yeah.
Whatever is in the crate.
Yeah.
Like bombs? Or are we talking like potions? Like what are we
Gunpowder.
thinking? Gunpowder, yeah.
Some chemical. It exploded when she hit it with, or I think Tyrion hit it with fire.
Yeah, I'm interested as to why it's pointed out.
Yeah. Not only that, but Liam's family is gone. They killed his mom and his dad.
Right.
Is this crate
That's what
6
I was
years
about
old?
to ask.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Where did it come from? Why does
Was
it
it meant for him? Is it a threat?
His sister?
I mean, it could be a threat. It could be something that they clearly called the venom to this town. It could be something that they stuck in there to make it even more dangerous.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Crazy.
But there's a lot of mystery surrounding why this crate is there. How did it get there? Why does it have the family crest?
Also the fact that, I think we skipped over this because we started talking about Liam, but did we skip over the fact that the venom seemed to be able to teleport? Because they just show up.
And
I know that
kind of talked about it.
Well, we talked about them having abilities, but specifically their ability to just be there, because he says that they just show up and he sees them there and they weren't there a minute ago. But the fact that they can actually teleport is what I wanted to point it out, because...
Is it teleporting, though, or could they also have some, just like with
invisible...
with Andarna with the time thing, could they have stopped time?
Oh, shit.
They do move fast.
Dude. Shit, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I was thinking distance wielding instead of time walking. But
yeah,
who knows?
I don't know.
I will point out, Andarna says nature likes all things in balance. And it's not the first time this has been brought up. I think it's like the third or fourth time. And so it seems to be a theme.
Right.
And the writers are getting more powerful signets, rare signets. And so I wonder if it's in conjunction with how powerful the venom are.
Mm-hmm, because they are scary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Liam wielding ice, it's funny because when the book first came out, many people noticed it and they were theorizing that the marked ones have a second signet. And soon after that, a rumor started that Rebecca Yarros said that it was an editing error spread, and unfortunately, I watched interview after interview, and I cannot find her saying this anywhere. Not to mention that it still shows up in the special edition. If it was an editing error, why wasn't it fixed? Thing is, where does that power come from?
I thought that we had talked amongst ourselves that someone that you, brain. I thought that we had talked amongst ourselves that she had confirmed that it was an editing error at some point, but then
we did.
You did the research and then you just couldn't find that evidence.
Yeah, we definitely did talk about it and confirmed with each other that it was an editing error. And then it was only right before Onyx Storm came out that I started looking for that evidence and I could not find anything.
Yeah, that's crazy, because that would mean either it's his second signet or maybe it's his relic. I don't know. I still like that theory that the relics can channel, but
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, especially with Rebecca Yarros saying recently that the dragons could potentially be lying about their names. Makes you wonder how many of them may have bonded to somebody they were bonded to a relative.
Right.
And potentially have a second signet.
Which is revealed in Iron Flame.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. What do you think, Christy? Does he have a second signet?
Yes. I wonder if he does, but maybe I don't know though. She didn't say that it was actually an editing error. An actual editing error. Maybe it's something she didn't actually reveal right then. I don't know. That seems like that would be odd, that would go through the whole editing process and nobody would have caught it.
And then they made a special edition, and then they made the paperback, and then they did all of these things, and it wasn't taken out.
Yeah.
And Yarros is known for sprinkling things in there right in front of her face.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it was intentional.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on first read, I did not catch it.
Same. I did not either. I did not either.
I didn't catch it at all.
Some of the people who have been given theories and whatnot and pointing out these details, I'm like, how did I not catch that?
Yeah, I know.
Generally a detailed person. I think it was because Liam's death just kind of overshadowed everything.
Yes, that's why. But that's why it's
Yeah.
perfect for her to stick it in there, is because she knows that all we're thinking about is that Liam is in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cruel.
Yeah.
All right. So the last thing that I specifically wanted to talk about was the poison that Violet gets stabbed with.
Right.
It paralyzes her, takes her, and disconnects her from her dragon and her powers. Doesn't it kind of remind you of the serum that they develop in Iron Flame?
That is a little concerning. You mean, quote unquote, develop
Yeah.
in Iron Flame?
Yeah.
So are you thinking
That's scary.
that the venom are either something that's kind of like run amok and, gotten out of their control, or that they're actually controlling them and driving the war to what drive people's fear to need them?
I just think, how it's something that weakens their opponents, especially Violet, who has the power of lightning that is used over and over and over to kill them. It's the only signet that we know of that kills Venom, because literally Xaden
Easily.
Yeah, they literally say in this chapter or in this section, the daggers are the only thing that can kill Venom. Dragonfire doesn't do it.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, which makes you wonder about the oranges with Jack, but still.
Yeah.
Literally the only way to kill a Venom is with the daggers until Violet shoots them with lightning. And mostly her lightning is used to kill the wyvern.
Well, it's funny you say that about Jack, because she kills him with lightning.
Well, she
Could he have died at that moment if she hadn't struck him?
dropped a mountain on him. She didn't actually strike him.
Is that really true?
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall that. I guess I thought, maybe I just glossed over it thinking that she had hit him with the lightning, but at that point she was really not that good at using her lightning.
Yeah, it was her first strike.
If she had hit him with lightning, would he have died? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yes.
Hopefully. Although they say that one of the venom got away. Did we see the venom she struck down die?
I don't recall.
She was poisoned at that point, and she kind of falls off of her dragon. Although everybody else claims that they died, so I'm assuming that they did.
You're bringing up the bringing up of the poison and the connection to what we see in book 2 immediately makes me go back to your point that we don't know who is Venom at this point.
Yeah.
Because that could mean that whoever is there could be someone that she's interacting with in book 2, and we have no idea that they're Venom.
Yeah.
And that makes me think of Nolan, because Nolan's working with Jack in book 2, and it makes you question so many things. When we reread it and we talk about it, we're gonna be like, our minds are gonna be reeling.
Let me look at every detail.
Whose eyes are red? Like, we only got it that one time for Jack, so I wonder if we're gonna see that at all in the text. Are all of the professors, like, can we trust anybody?
I trust Devera.
I don't know.
I do. Something about
Devera.
Yeah, something about her. I trust her. I think Immaterio, and
I agree with that.
there's one more that I want to say I think I trust.
What about
There's
Carr?
3. No, I don't trust him at all.
Not Carr.
Really?
Yeah, nope.
Is it mainly
No, 'cause
because he
he-
killed that kid?
Well, for one, but then she also says that she thinks he's gonna kill her immediately.
It's
So-
one part of it is that Violet doesn't trust him at all. The second part of it is he doesn't see people. He sees signets.
Yeah.
And
He doesn't treat her as a person who needs to train or a cadet. He's just like, you're powerful. Come with me.
Yeah.
And somebody who treats somebody as not a person, I just don't think that he can be good.
Yeah.
I totally get that. I think the only thing that keeps sticking out for me is his warning to her about being careful.
Yeah.
That was just an odd part.
What if that was a threat?
It could be
not
a threat,
warning.
but it almost seemed more like a be careful kind of thing.
Yeah.
And not like an outright threat. But, I mean,
I think
what if he is watching people's signets in order to try to fight back against those that are, I don't know. I could really see this being like this massive thing where they're the ones actually responsible for the venom. They're the ones that are responsible for the attacks, because you attack a village and what are they going to do? They're going to be afraid. They're going to want somebody to protect them. And so if you keep people afraid, then you can keep yourself in power. And I could see them doing something like that. I don't know.
can see that.
I see what you're saying.
I can see
Definitely.
that, definitely.
Orchestrating the whole thing to make it possible to stay in power.
Yeah.
I get that.
It's a little far-fetched, but, you know.
I just don't think Carr. It's very much like Varish. He doesn't see people. And I don't trust anybody who doesn't see the person behind the gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Okay.
Well, we leave this. I mean, honestly, the last few chapters of the book leaves us in a place that if you didn't already have book 2 when you were reading it, you were probably like, what the fuck? Like when you get to the end of this book. And then we find out after she wakes that Brennan is still alive. And I feel like as a reader, I felt it kind of coming.
You did mention when we were reading it that first time, you were like, I think he's alive.
I just had a vibe. I was like, I feel like something's not right.
Well, I told you, I was like, if they tell you somebody's dead, generally they might still be alive.
Yeah.
It's like if there's a missing princess, then the main character is going to end up being the missing princess or a hidden prince, Castile.
Or something. Yes. But yeah, and then we got to the end, but even though I was anticipating it, I still felt a little bit betrayed. A little bit.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I get it, but can you?
I don't know. I think because so much of their lives, like Violet and Mira and Lilith and Papa Sorengale, so much of their lives were like upended by the fact that he died. And the fact that he's just like hiding out somewhere and is living his life.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Feels a bit selfish. I know that he had a reason that he had to, and it was a good reason. But it still feels shitty.
It does.
Yeah.
And if it were me, I would probably reach out to my siblings to let them know.
I think I would. Like, he didn't feel that he could trust Violet or Mira. I could understand maybe Mira. She's, like, already entrenched in so much of the hierarchy. But Violet was supposed to be a scribe. Violet was separate from all of that.
True.
If he could trust anyone, maybe it would be Violet.
But as Xaden said, the scribes is the heart of the enemy.
That's fair. I don't know.
And Brennan potentially didn't know what his dad was up to about his research.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we will end it there. We hope that you will join us for next week's episode. We'll be discussing Book 2, Iron Flame, chapters 1 through 16. New episodes drop every week, and don't forget to check out last season's discussion on the Zodiac Academy series, available now.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media. That like and follow are super important for us to continue to bring you new episodes each week. So please, please, please do so. Thank you for listening to the Midnight Readers podcast. We'll see you next week.
Happy reading, listeners. Don't stay up too late.